Okay, this video is going to go through the conceptual way of completing the square. I really like this way because it actually shows you where the name completing the square comes from. And you could actually, we're going to take our time through these, but you can actually get pretty quick with them too. And if you're really good working with fractions, this is actually a really nice and easy way to kind of solve some of these quadratics. Also, just so you know, for this video, I am not going to completely solve them. You can watch my other video on that. I'm just going to do completing the square part. So, okay, before we start that, I just want to talk about one thing. If you remember kind of what this is all based off of, if you had some rectangular square, okay, to find the area of that, you take this side and whatever this side was. So the area would be those two sides being multiplied. Okay. So let's keep that in mind as we're completing the square here. That's the big idea. Okay, so if I come look at what I got, I have 1x squared plus 4x plus 10 equals 0. So first thing, let's get them all on one side like they are. You got to get it equal to 0. And what this tells me is I have one, we're going to call it 1 square. I'll talk about that in 1 second. That's what the x squared, the number in the front, the 1 there, represents. This 4 represents 4 rectangles. And I'll show again in a second what those are, what they look like. And the 10 just represents 10 little unit cubes. Okay, so that 1 square, I'm going to draw here, and I'm not the best artist. I know what you're saying, like, wow, but your square looks so perfect. Thank you. But it actually doesn't. Okay, that square there is just an x by x squared. That's the dimensions of it. And if you think about what the area would be, well, x times x. Oh, x squared. How cool. Okay, then these 4 rectangles, I'm going to draw them over here. They're little rectangles like this, where this side is a 1 and this side is x. So you can think we could just take those and kind of place them right there. Okay? And if you find the areas of these, it's just 1x. And I have 4 of those. Okay, and then the 10 unit cubes are just these little cubes that are 1 by 1. So what I'm going to do now is I have my 1 square here. I'm now going to fill in some rectangles going to the right, so this way, and going down. Well, I have 4 rectangles, so I could put 2 over here and 2 down here. And remember, the rectangles look like this. So I'm going to put 1 rectangle here. That is a terrible looking rectangle. It's an x by 1. And I'm going to put 1 more rectangle here. Now you really got to use your imagination because I'm terrible at drawing, but those rectangles look the same. Okay, and then I draw a rectangle down here. This one looks a little bit better. 1 by x. And then a rectangle down here. 1 by x. Okay, so now, hence the name, in order to complete the square, I need to fill in this area right here. Okay, so I think to myself, how many of the little cubes do I need in order to fill in that area right there? Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need 4 of those little cubes. Okay. Luckily, I have 10 of them, so that's good. Now, if you want to think, well, how could I figure it out? Let's say you had 9 of these, 9 of these. Well, remember, area is always the length times the width, length times the width. So if you wanted the area of this little square down here, well, I know from here to here is 2. Here to here is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Oh, that's what I needed. Okay, now let's look at the area of this entire big square now. Okay, so I'm looking at the area of the big square. Well, this side is x, and then plus 1 or plus 2. And then I'm multiplying that, because remember, area is base times height, times this side, which is also x plus 2. Or I could write that as x plus 2 squared. So that's the area of that entire big square. But if you remember, in order to complete that area, I needed 4 cubes. I had 10. I took away 4 to complete this. That leaves me with 6 left over. So plus 6. And that's how you complete the square. And then, like I said, watch the other video to actually know how to solve this. Okay, let's look at one more example together. So first thing I'm going to do, get everything to one side. So I have 8v squared minus 16v minus 90 equals 0. And then kind of do your inventory. I have 8 of those squares. So last time I only had 1, now I have 8. Let me try to make this look a little nicer. The lighting, hopefully that helps. Okay, now I have negative 16 of the rectangles. And we'll talk about kind of how we're going to handle that. And then I have negative 90 of those little cubes. So I'm kind of in the hole. 90. Okay, let's draw our square. Okay. Instead of x by x, it's just going to be v by v because we're doing v. And something to keep in mind, I have 8 of these. I'm not going to draw all 8. You could if you want, but I know I have 8 of these. Okay, this is where you got to think. I have 16 rectangles. Okay, I need to split them evenly amongst the 8 squares that I have here. And then remember, we go this way with the rectangles and this way trying to complete the bigger square. So if I have 8 of these, okay, and I have 16 total, how many are each of them going to get? Well, the answer is 2. Because I want to be able to put 1 here and 1 here. I got to keep those like even. If I put some over to the right, I have to put them going down too. And in order for that to work across all 8, each of them need to have 2. So I draw 1 rectangle here, 1 here. So this one has 2 of those rectangles. I have 8 of these. 8 times 2 is 16. So that's just a quick way to check that I've used all my rectangles. Now the length here is going to be minus 1 because it's negative there. That's v minus 1v. Okay, then I think to myself, well, how many of the little cubes do I need right there? I only need 1. 1 times 1 gives me 1. Okay, so now I'm going to look at the total area of the big square. Well, the side here is v minus 1, v minus 1. To have the area, I multiply them together. So v minus 1 squared, that's the area of that. Remember though, how many of those do you have? You got 8 of them. Good job, Justice. So I have 8 of those squares. Okay. Now here comes where we got to think about this. So in order to complete those squares, I had to add 1 cube. Okay. There were 8 of them, so I have 8 little cubes that I need. In the example above, remember I think we started with 10 cubes. I needed 4 of them, so I just took the 4 out and I was left with 6. The issue here is I started with negative 90 cubes, so I already owed somebody 90 cubes. I need 8 more cubes. Well, now I'm in the hole 98 cubes. So I'll just do minus 98. And equals 0. So before I had the cubes, so I just kind of took them out. Think about it like money. You had $10, you needed 4, so now you have 6. Here, you were down $90. Well, you need 8 more dollars. Might as well just stack them. So now you're down 98. Okay, we'll have you try a problem on your own. Okay, so pause the video, try this problem out, and then come back and see how you did. Okay, welcome back. Okay, so we got to get it equal to 0, so I'm going to move everything over. So I get 5n squared plus 20n minus 25 equals 0. Okay, one thing I will say, you could go down the route of 5 squares and all that, which I'll do because I'm going to guess some people might have done that. But I'll just say, notice that you're equal to 0. all these are divisible by 5, I probably would have started by dividing everything by 5. Makes it a little bit easier, because then you have n squared plus 4n minus 5. That's easier to complete the square on. But let's say you didn't do that. Let's just kind of go with this. So I have 5 squares, 20 rectangles, and I'm in the whole 25 cubes. Okay, so I'm going to start by drawing one of those squares. That's going to be an n by n square. Okay, so I have 20 rectangles that I need to split across the 5, because remember there are 5 of these. Okay, so each of them are going to get 4, each of the squares, and then I have to split that amongst evenly right and down. So that means that each of these plus 1 are going to get 2. Plus 1. Okay, and then to complete this, I need 4 cubes. Okay. And I look at my area of it. Well, the area is n plus 2 squared. I add 5 of those. Okay, I'm already in the whole 25 cubes. I need 4 more cubes to complete it, but I have 5 of those. So I actually need 20 cubes. Well, I'm already in the whole 25. What's another 20? So minus 45. And then you solve that. Okay, let's try one more. Pause the video again, try this one on your own, and then come back and see how you did. Okay, welcome back. Okay, so x squared. And then I just got to move that 9x over. So that's what, minus 4x minus 96. Okay, so I have 1 square. I have negative 4 rectangles and negative 96 cubes. In the hole again with the cubes. Dang. Okay, so 1 square is not bad. It's an x by x squared. I have minus 4, so I got to split it up evenly. So I'll do 2 and 2. And now I'm just going to write, let's do this. That's minus 2, just because I'm sick of drawing. You need your imagination again. Those are the same thing. To complete that square, well, negative 2 times 2 is 4. So I need 4 cubes. Okay, let's look at the overall area. Well, it's x minus 2 squared, because we're multiplying width times length. Okay, I need 4 cubes. I'm already in the whole 96 cubes. Well, now I'm in the whole 100 cubes. There you go. And there will be another video where we do some of these where you'll have something like this. Let's say x squared minus 7x minus 96. Okay. The reason why that one's a little bit harder is now you have 7 rectangles to split across these 2. Okay. So we'll do that in the other video, and we're also going to do something like this, 2x squared minus 7x minus 96, where now you have 2 of the starting squares, but you have 7 rectangles to split amongst that. So it gets a little bit trickier, but this is where I said in the beginning of the video, this method allows these to be very quick with fractions, if you really understand kind of what's going on here. So, okay, hopefully that helped.